Welcome back to Lead Judges TV. I'm your host, Dan Potts. I'm with Lead Judges. And of course, we've got Southampton coming up. So I thought I'd bring my good friend Liam, Southampton fan, on. Liam, thanks for coming on, bro. How you doing, mate?
I'm really good, mate. You?
Very well, man. Looking forward to this game of the weekend. And I'm not sure how you're feeling. So it's going to be good to get your opinions. I know you're a bit of a Ralph hater at the moment and had enough as far as I'm talking when you've been on my channel. But it could change, man. You never know. Week by week, things go very, very different. The first thing we're going to do, however, is show you a Bet Victor clip, which, of course, is talking about Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp. Who is better? Take a look at this.
Klopp is a better manager than Pep Guardiola, isn't he, baby?
Grow up, Flav. Grow up. I mean,
I've always felt he is,
I think he is.
Well, I think Pep Guardiola's given me some huge nightmares in my life, and those two Champions League finals, will live with me forever. Like, they made me, it's just like death by 1,000 passes in those games. But
yeah,
that's football. That's what football's about.
With Jurgen Klopp, man, look what he's doing with less. I just think ultimately he is doing more with what he has.
Yeah,
I think he always has done.
If you look at it,
if you had to choose one for your,
sorry.
Well, if you had to choose one for your club, ads like to take Man United forward as they are right now.
United have big money though.
Yeah, but who would you choose out of the two?
I would choose Jurgen Klopp.
Poofy, it's not a problem. You don't have to have the best things all the time. It's fine if Klopp's better than Pep. He's still got a really good manager. You don't have to be so defensive about it all the time.
It's a subjective thing. It's a subjective thing, of course. It's about your taste in football. I just think there's a real argument that Guardiola's top 5 managers in the history of the sport. And I think Klopp's, I think he's second at the moment. I think he'll be top 20 of all time. I think there's a gulf between them. I think one's got 2 Champions Leagues, 2 Champions Leagues and 3 appearances against the greatest manager of all time in Alex Ferguson, in my opinion. The other won a Champions League final against Spurs, scraped it, lost 2 Champions. He's lost 3 Champions League finals. That's not down to him being, counting the pennies and having this kind of Leicester City mentality. He spent a lot of money as well, and he's done really, really well. But he's won 1 Premier League.
Interesting debate. We might as well have a little bit of a round robin on it now, because I think me and Judges are going to disagree on this one. I absolutely love Jurgen Klopp. I think what he's done, he's done it the right way at Liverpool. He ain't been given thousands and trillions and millions of pounds, but he's been given a fair whack. But actually what he's done, in my opinion, is he's sold players like Coutinho, 140 million, and signed players with that money. Guardiola was like, right, I will win you everything, but you're going to have to give me 4 fullbacks, another 6 midfielders, and 5 strikers if you want me to do it. But he delivers, man. Every time he delivers. Jurgen Klopp's got it wrong a lot of the time at Mainz, at Dortmund. He's gone through the 7-year spell at both those clubs. There's no 7-year spells at Pep Guardiola to that style. He just wins with every club. And I honestly believe, Lee, when Pep Guardiola leaves Man City, which I actually don't think will be that long away, I think he'll go and do it with either Juventus or PSG and do exactly the same as what he's done in Germany, Spain, and now England. So, thoughts, Judges?
Yeah, listen, both fantastic managers, but for me, Klopp wins it just on that. What you're saying, I just don't think he's got the resources that Pep has. Don't get me wrong, to manage still top players and get them doing what they're doing is fantastic, but I don't think that Pep would have got Liverpool into top 4 when he had all those injuries and whatever, what Klopp did. A couple of years ago, he went and bought, from, what's his name? Ake from Bournemouth for 40 odd million. Didn't work out, so he goes and buys Diaz. Klopp couldn't do that. As you quite rightly said, that first season, I think that he got 4th. I need 2 fullbacks. Well, if you're this wonder coach, why aren't you, coaching these players for better things? And listen, he didn't have a bad team last year, and then he goes and buys the best striker on the planet. It does help. It certainly does help. Where I think that Klopp has got to use his resources a little bit and that. And I just got one. I just feel if I was a player, I'd prefer to play for Klopp, because I just think he backs you a little bit more than what Pep would. And I don't mean that nasty. I just think that Pep's a bit more ruthless, where I think that Klopp would be more putting your arm around you and making you a better player. So I think it's a marvellous debate, you know what I mean? And they are the two powerhouses now of Premier League football, innit? It used to be Ferguson and Wenger, and you know, that was a debate, and you could argue either way on that one. A little bit similar, if you be honest. You know, Ferguson had all the resources, and Wenger had to do it differently, like, you know. So two great.
I agree with that. What I will say is that Fergie didn't in the last year, and he won the league somehow with that team, and give it to Moyes, who come ninth with it, whoever it was. That was when I knew, actually, do you know what? Fergie is class. But I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying, Lee, in certain aspects of it. I think personally, if you was to look at the football season stopping now, the world of football's ended. Who's the better manager? Pep leaves him dead in the water for me. But Liam, you're a Southampton fan. Would you rather have Guardiola in charge of Southampton or Klopp?
I mean, they'll both go down as probably two of the greatest managers to ever grace the Premier League. Let's just start with that. But I think I'd rather play for Guardiola. I'd rather have Guardiola at Saints. I think tactical, he's the best manager that probably ever be like that. You get, I mean, he's so nailed onto the point of everything. And Klopp, I think if I needed motivation, I'd play for Klopp, because you can see those players have absolutely ran ragged for him for the last 5-6 years. How long is it ever he's been in charge? But to still for Guardiola, for winning the league like the last 4 times out of 5, to still get those little bits from his players to still keep them going. You get what I mean? It's like, surely you get bored, but I don't think he does. I think he has something new every day for him to keep him motivated, to keep him going. And it's probably one of the most difficult debates to really go on between both of them. But yeah, I think I'd rather go Guardiola over Klopp, but slightly, not anything, slight margins, definitely.
What is funny, and what is even funnier, is that what I was about to think then come up in the chat, and then Dave has just put it up. I think Pep has changed English football, a bit like Arsene Wenger did when he came in. Complete change of everything, right? Stripped back off the pitch stuff. The diet was changed. Everything was changed. Tactics was changed. Tiki-taka football was then. And then Pep Guardiola came in, and for me, brought what he was doing at Barcelona to Man City. And I think we've seen some unbelievable football. I really do, under Pep Guardiola's teams. And they blew teams away. And that's why I would go with him. And I think it's funny because it's like the Messi-Ronaldo debate, isn't it? You always feel like you're slating one of the other ones. You can't really do that in that case. They're both unbelievably good. A bit like Pep and Klopp. And I think that we did that with Wenger and Fergie. We always do that in debates. You always end up picking one and it feels like you're slagging off the other one. That's just not the case. I think both of them are unbelievably good. So I think that's a good debate. And a lot of people in the chat are disagreeing as well. So it must be a good debate. If a lot of people are disagreeing, you always know it's a good debate if no one can actually, agree on it. So, both managers have been fantastic. All I will say is it don't beat the Wenger and Fergie era for me. They're all lovey-dovey with each other, hugging each other and shaking hands with each other. You never saw that back in the day, did you, Lee? Do you know what I mean? Like Wenger and Ferguson hating each other. And I know they had respect for each other, but it ain't going to be the same as that in terms of rivalry.
That you know what I mean, like get over to Bet Victor. They do some good stuff over there, and obviously, like, that was a good debate. But there's no way no one gets near the Wenger and Fergie is. And honestly, I think it's a great rivalry between Man City and Liverpool. But and it's not like the Man United and Arsenal ones. They were. Also, I do think because a lot more was allowed to go tackles wise and things like that. I just think that just pumped it up to a different level. I've got to say there was a nastiness. There was genuine. You actually speak to a few of the ex-players and all that. There was a genuine dislike for each other's clubs. Genuinely disliked each other. It went back to the early 80s, late 80s, early 90s, and it's gone through to the Premiership years. There was a genuine dislike for each other. I love it.
Yeah, I love it as well, mate. And I miss it. Can't lie. And I'm a little bit Roy Keane now when he says, "Oh, what are they shaking each other hands for? Just get down the tunnel, play the game. You should hate each other. What you got swapping shirts for?" I never did that with Vieira. I love all that. I miss all that. And those days are gone now. It's all about clapping each other on and hugging each other and all that rubbish. I don't like all that.
That's another great debate, Keane and Vieira. But I think Vieira wins it hands down. But
all day long.
I genuinely quite like Roy Keane now, and I try not to.
He's my favourite pundit. He's my favourite pundit, Lee. He says it how it is,
I'm really
mate.
trying
Says
to
it how it
dislike
is.
him, but I'm
Straight
ended
to the
up
point,
on
isn't it?
Oh, mate, there's no messing around with Keane, mate. He just says it how it is. And what I like about him, I used to really like Gary Neville, and I still do, to be fair, but he's so biased now towards Man United. Over the last couple of years, I've really noticed that everything Man United done is just, it will take time. And it's rich coming from me because I've obviously doubted this process, but anything to do with Arsenal, they're miles away. They ain't got a clue what they're doing. There's no plan. It's all up in the air. It's all a mess type thing. But it is also a mess at Old Trafford, but it won't never say that. You know what I mean? It's always, it's just all these owners. It's all them owners. It was very, very strange the way he looks at things now when it comes to Man United. Other teams, fantastic. But I think Sky got brilliant pundits now. Michael Richards, Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville, Roy Keane. You look at BT, and it's embarrassing, really, isn't it? Some of them, Christ. I was watching the other night. It was Paul Scholes and Owen Hargreaves talking about Christ. It might as well have. Yeah, I mean, it was really poor. Anyway, we digress. Lee, we got Southampton at the weekend, and you were at the game last night, mate. I didn't go last night because I couldn't get there because of the stupid kickoff times. I mean, they really think about the fans, don't they? 6 p.m. game. Unbelievable. Anyway, I was impressed in parts, impressed with some players, but I was shocked in a way to see a couple of the players playing. I was really surprised to see Jesus. After his performance against Leeds, I thought that he didn't look fit, so I was really surprised to see him. Having said that, judges, he did look a hell of a lot better. He was a menace. He was himself. He was trying to get in each other's faces, but he needs a goal, man. He really needs a goal. And him and Saka, I thought, were causing some problems last night. I thought Granit Xhaka was ridiculously good again last night, deserved man of the match. What was your thoughts on last night's performance, and do you think that's going to be interesting for the team news this weekend, mate?
Yeah, we had a little discussion about it earlier on, and we ain't agreeing with things at the minute, are we? Like we're sort of like we're having a lovers' tiff at the moment on things like this. It's listen, I don't really know. I don't know about you. I don't really know what to make of yesterday because I know we got the job done. We won, and I never thought we was never not going to win it. I don't know if we played well or not, but PSV just done absolutely nothing. They just sort of camped in our half, and I don't really know what the game plan was from them. Did they think they was going to hold out or whatever? It just, I don't really know. Jesus missed a few chances. I thought Saka was brilliant the way he was going about it, but there was no ambition from them, and they never looked dangerous. You know, every time they got the ball, you just thought, well, they're going to give it back to us. It was like a training session watching it, really. But Saka was brilliant in the game. I thought Tomiyasu again showed why. He just reminded me what a good defender he is, you know. So, so I don't really know what to make of that. Like, you know, win's a win. It was important. I felt that we had to go strong in that game. I wonder if Mikel will probably feel a little bit. I wish I could have gone a little bit weaker now because they showed no ambition. Do you know what I mean? If he'd known that they was going to show no ambition whatsoever, maybe he could have made a few more changes. But I did think that they would. It realistically go for it, but it looked for me like they was looking for a point and then maybe go and win the next game and all that. But listen, we got the job done. It's done. Well pleased with it, like, you know. But I don't really know how to make what of that performance. I've got to say that, like, you know, I don't know how you feel.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean. There was parts of it which was so boring. I've got to be honest. There was parts of it I was so bored, and I was like, "Are PSV going to turn up here? Like, what are they actually doing here? This is really like poor show from them in parts of the game." Now, normally you would say Arsenal were just so dominant, and perhaps we were in parts of that game. I didn't really see us peppering their goal. I didn't really see us like this could have been 8 or 9-0. It's just a bit of a strange game. I was just going to bring up this breaking news, actually, Lee, because Gabriel has signed a new long-term deal at Arsenal, which I saw literally before we come on live. I like this, and I'll tell you why I like it. I think behind the scenes, this looks really good. This is basically saying, I know you're going through a rough time at the moment through some of the fans that are giving you stick and some of the media giving you stick about the mistakes, but we believe in you. Sign a new long deal with us and shut everybody up. I quite like that, Lee. I'm quite happy about that.
More than happy with that, like, you know what I mean? I'm listen, I don't know really where all the negativity is coming from, Gabriel. I will go back to the Leeds game. The one thing that I had beef with him for was that he initiated the foul and then he got petulant. You know what I mean? That was the only thing he done wrong on the game, you know what I mean? And people are starting to give him a little bit of stick and all that, like, you know. Listen, we've got central defenders now that we've not had for many and many years. So let's embrace them. You know what I mean? Like, I think we've got four decent central defenders now. You know, I'm putting Holding in that bracket now because he's a very, very decent, very, very good squad player. Comes in whenever asked and does a job. You know, like against Leeds, he's not saying to the manager, "No, I don't want to come on." He's running on there and for the last 10 minutes and doing a job. Done very, very well yesterday. He knows what his job is at the club. He knows what it is. So, and the other three, well, you know, really, really talented central defenders. So, listen, I'm very, very pleased with that. Like, you know, I want to see a few more of that. And do you know what? I'm going to say it now, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. No Champions League football, and all these players are signing because they want to sign and want to play for the Arsenal. And you know, Gabriel is one of them. Like, you know, they love it, and he's actually come out and says he couldn't be more happier. He's happy in life and everything in London. He's happy playing football. That's what you want. They want to play for Arsenal, Dan, and that's what I think is a very, very important thing. And that will take you another little step further to where you want to go. Like, you know, so massive, well pleased.
Yeah, I'm really happy as well. Listen, before I come to Liam Lee, I want to talk to you about two players, Lokonga and Eddie Nketiah. A lot of Twitter, a lot of social media will say not good enough for the Arsenal, not ready yet, loan deals needed. Eddie's 23, he should be in the team now, blah, blah, blah. I want to kind of break them both down, really. Eddie, I really like some of his attributes. I love his intensity. I love his energy. I love the pace. I love the fact that he's now better off the ball. He's definitely stronger and has developed in his game in that over the preseason and certain games. But he still goes through and blasts it over the bar. There's just no composure with him sometimes. He's frustrating. He'll miss kick it. He'll fluff it. He'll scuff it. He'll put it over. And that does frustrate me. So I wanted to ask you about him. And then I wanted to come on to Lokonga because I want to hear me out on Lokonga, right? I felt sorry for him. Felt really sorry for him last year. Didn't really ever see a Guendouzi type player in him, but I certainly saw a player who can look quite comfortable on the ball. I don't see him put tackles in. I don't even see him, like he's not a Vieira or Gilberto. I don't think any of our players are. I don't even think he's a Torreira or a Coquelin or a Song. He doesn't even put his foot in, mate. He just literally wants the ball given to him and he'll pass it nicely elsewhere. I need players that do more than that. But my problem with him is, I kind of see him as a bit of a piece of a jigsaw puzzle that Arteta don't know where he fits yet. I don't think he's a 6. I'm not even sure that he's number 8. I don't quite know where it is. And I think sooner or later, that puzzle piece will fit into that last piece of that jigsaw and it will be complete for him. But I'm not quite sure when that's going to be. Now, I think he might need a loan, if I'm honest with you. A little bit like Nuno Tavares has had a loan and he's doing well apparently over in Marseille. So I wanted to get your thoughts on both those players before I come to Liam Lee.
Yeah, well, look, listen, we all know about Eddie. I thought we'd done all right yesterday, but you know, there's something missing with him and all that. Like, I've been quite pleased with what he's done and looking at it and all that. Like, you know, a couple of people in the chat saying he's not good enough for Arsenal. You know, it's a difficult one. You know what I mean? It probably isn't good enough to start for Arsenal. You know what I mean? Like, but he's definitely good enough to be in and around the squad as far as I'm concerned. Like, you know, Lokonga is a different thing for me. Like, you know, I just think that because of Partey's injuries and all that, like, we aren't seeing the best of Lokonga. And I mean this by that we have to play Lokonga instead of Partey because Partey we have to wrap up in cotton wool. So we're not actually seeing Lokonga probably in his best position, and playing alongside Partey would certainly help him. Like, you know, last season, for instance, as you quite rightly said, you know, I remember him playing with Charlie Patino in midfield, and then this season he's having to play the holding role, which probably isn't his role. I like to actually see him alongside Partey, but you don't actually get to see that because Partey's either injured or he's being mollycoddled for him, like, you know. So I'm with you now. I watch him. And I want to see more from him. I want to see him do more. And I mean, like, you know, take the game by the scruff of the neck. He's not doing that. I think he's safe in his play. When he plays in midfield, he gets the ball and he plays the safe option. That's fine. And then I think 2 or 3 times yesterday, he tried the difficult pass and it didn't go right for him 3 times and it didn't happen, like, you know. So I think that, you know, that has been tough of him. It's true. Like El Nenny's injury as well hasn't helped, because El Nenny would probably come in there in that holding role, and then he could push on a little bit. So the jury's still out on him, and I know that's a bad thing, Dan, when you say jury's still out on him, but it's nearly a year and a half and we're still not sure. I do see a player in him, I really do, but it's going to be now, if we're going to sign a few more players in January, then get him out on loan, see what he can do for. But I don't want him going alone to France. I don't want to see him going back to. But I want to see him playing in the Premier League and learning from that, And I do think now, I think he's getting frustrated as well with what's happening. So it may be the best thing all round.
To wrap this up, if Eddie was our third choice striker and Lokonga went on loan, would we lose any sleep? No. So that's how good they are at the Arsenal. We need better. There's too much of a drop-off for Partey and Jesus for them. Yeah. And I think it's been clear in his Europa League games. To be fair play to Mikel. He's got it spot on so far. We're top of everything. And he's playing his squad. He's rotating well. But I just think when we start to get tougher opposition and Lokonga and Eddie are needed for a longer stretch of games, we're going to suffer, man. So let's hope that don't happen. Liam, waiting patiently, man. Apologies about that. We had to get last night's game over and done with. But I want to talk a little bit about your thoughts on the Arsenal this season, mate, because things are looking up for us. Obviously, Mikel Arteta has come under a lot of pressure in the last couple of years and has had a lot of stick from Arsenal fans, from media, from pundits. And I think this season, nobody can say any of that. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. I think we're playing fantastic football. I think the signings have fitted in well. I think there's been player development over the years. But I always like to ask the neutrals what they think. Is that the same for you as a Southampton fan? Have you watched much of Arsenal this season? And what are your thoughts about Arteta's job at the Arsenal, mate?
No, I'm a massive fan of what Arsenal are doing this season. I watched a lot of them. A lot of their games obviously been on TV. But I think this season he's took it to another level. I think I've always believed in Arteta's process. I always thought he's got something here. He knows what he's doing. It's just going to take time. Like with Klopp, inherited not a great squad. Now he's kind of getting the players that he wants, building young, good teams. Like you don't learn under Guardiola. You don't be Guardiola's assistant if you're not tactically good enough, or you're not good enough to ever be a manager. Like, I mean, you can see he's really inheriting what Guardiola's doing, and especially bringing in Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus, like absolutely unreal signings. Fabio Vieira, I'm a massive fan. I really think he could be a great player in the future. Odegaard, wow, taking Saka and Martinelli to the next level. I didn't see Martinelli being the type of player he is, or Saka, and he's been absolutely fantastic. So I'm really happy for Arsenal. So I really like the club, and just getting them back into the Champions League, I think they're doing a fantastic job. The only problem is, if you get injuries in key areas like Thomas Partey, like Gabriel Jesus, you will struggle. And I think a lot of teams have probably not a better first team side, but better depth if players get injured. That's the only thing I worry about with Arsenal this season.
Listen, I think you're talking facts there in terms of the concerns, and I think most Arsenal fans are worried about injuries. Having said that, I think we can say that about a lot of clubs. Like if Tottenham were to lose Kane and Son, if Man City were to lose Haaland and De Bruyne, if Liverpool were to lose Salah and Van Dijk, it's one of those, I think. But I think you're right. I think everybody else has got alternatives. I don't think the drop-off is quite as much as it is at Arsenal. And that could affect us 100%. But Liam, things at Southampton ain't exactly rosy at the moment, mate, and it's been a little bit inconsistent. I'd actually go as far as to say that you're probably one of the most inconsistent teams in the league, and I'd hate to put a bet on you because I just don't know what's going to happen with Southampton. They surprise me, then they disappoint me. Like you've said kind words about Arsenal. I'm not just saying it because you've said kind words. I've always liked Southampton. I've always appreciated what's come through your youth system. I think you've got some great players over the years. I think you've had some really nice styles of play. I think you've played some really good teams and been a good team to watch over the years. This season, I've had more respect for you than many, just for the pure fact that you're now the youngest team in the league, younger than Arsenal. And Ralph Hasenhüttl, as I've said to you before when you've been on my channel, mate, I've always had respect for him because he's always managed to just get Southampton where they need to be. And I know it might be frustrating and you'll probably tell us different. Me and Lee don't watch Southampton every week, mate. But I look at where you should be with that team, and I think Ralph's done pretty all right, mate. So what's your thoughts this season on what Southampton are up to, man?
No, it's very difficult. We've lost a lot of key injuries right now with Lavia and Bella Kotchap being probably our two best players. It's just the problem is the consistency and the consistency of performances. We win 2-1 against Chelsea. The first 4 games were they were all right. Then we lose lose like 5 games. It's the consistency of results. I love Ralph. I think he's done a fantastic job, but it's the fact I feel like he's kind of lost the players. I think he's kind of lost the fans with what he's expecting, what we expect as fans, just to give 100%. Like we know we're the youngest squad in the league. We know we're not the best talented squad in the league, but I do feel like we can play better. But it's like results. The last 2 games, we got 4 points from West Ham, Bournemouth. We need that, but the performances isn't. It's difficult to say. They aren't really exciting. They're very negative. It's get a goal and sit back. And we were lucky to get a win against West Ham. You shouldn't be sitting back against Bournemouth away. Yeah, I mean they're probably one of the worst teams in the league. Obviously, well, not right now, saying their position, but if you look at it, everyone thought Bournemouth were going to go down. But we've got really tough couple of fixtures before the World Cup, and we're losing a lot of players to injury. So it's kind of one moment you get the win, and next minute you're getting done with another injury. Like we've lost Kyle Walker-Peters, so we don't even have a right back for Sunday.
Massive blow,
you can't Maitland-Niles. You can't play Maitland-Niles. He's on loan from you lot. So it's like it's really difficult. We're having positives, then we're going back down to reality, and it's very frustrating season. But I want to back Ralph. I just I still feel like even after the last 2 games, I still feel like we need a bit of change. We need something different around the club, but it's really difficult to be a Southampton fan at the moment.
And it's hardly in it, because what does Southampton do? If they get rid of Ralph, it could go one way or the other. And if it does go the wrong way, then you think, oh, why did we get rid of Ralph, who kept us safe for 7 years or whatever it's been now, 6 years? So I look at it and I think fair play. I can understand Liam's frustrations at the same time, though, Lee. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And listen, they've always been a little bit like that. Southampton. They've brought on fantastic youngsters through the years, and we've been the beneficial of a couple of them, of course, with Oxlade-Chamberlain and Theo. Cedric, of course, come through there. I didn't come through the ranks, but come from that neck of the woods as well. And they've always done, let's not forget they produced Alan Shearer. People forget about that, but he was
Gareth Bale. Southampton. He was there.
Gareth Bale, of course, was there. So always had good players at Southampton, youngsters, and coming through. I'd imagine if you're same as a West Ham or a Southampton, with all those players, if they kept them, what a side that would be. But they can't do that. They have to move. So it must be frustrating for the manager as well, as well as it's frustrating for the fans. For Ralph, because I'm going to call him Ralph because I can't say his second name. But he's a. I actually quite like him, and I think.
Can you try and say it? Can you try and say it? Just have a laugh.
Hasselhoff. And do you know what? All through my life, watching football, Southampton have always been, a good side to have. You know what I mean? The old Dell, obviously Liam and you don't remember the old Dell. It was like one of the iconic grounds.
I do. I'm not as young as Liam. Bless him.
Do you remember? It is one of the most iconic grounds ever. And they've always had good footballers at Southampton through the years, and I don't think that I think that they're just major survive this season because there's other teams worse than them, and I think they've got to manage. They're probably, you're dead right in that. They've got. I think that if they keep him. If they keep Ralph, they're guaranteed staying up in the Premier League. If they get word to get rid of him, they might get into the top 10, but they might get relegated. So it's a difficult one. Now, when we see it from afar, and I watch them, and I think, wow, it was very, very unlucky in games. I remember they played Spurs. They was absolutely outstanding against Spurs in the first, and I think someone got sillily sent off, and they was hanging on at the end for a 1-1 draw there last season. And you think, is that the manager's fault? And it comes along, you have to sell a player here and there. And I remember last season they had Theo Walcott playing, and they was really on fire at one stage, really, really playing well. So, but like these teams, they get a few injuries and all that, and don't forget Ben White. Well done, So once you get we moan about we getting injuries, but if Southampton get a few injuries, it's a massive blow for them as well. So. And I'll say it now. I think it's a bloody difficult place to go and get results there. They're still a difficult team to play at St Mary's now, like, you know. So, yeah, you know, I look at this game and I'm just as worried about this game at Southampton as I am Leeds United, as I am going to Brentford and all that. Like, so that's a respect for the team. You know that they're capable of beating us. Hopefully they won't. Hopefully we perform, but you know, they have got players that can hurt you, and you know, like maybe we're a little bit fortunate if they've got a few injuries.
Maybe. Liam, I'd say your best players, correct me if I'm wrong, over the years, for certainly a couple of years I'll go by. I don't know much about your new young players. I've been a fan of Lavia. I think I can't ever say his centre-back's name. What's his name? Bella Ketchup?
Bella Ketchup.
He looks
Bella
quality. He looks quality, but I can't say his name.
You're having a go at me, like, you know, I can say that, Bella Ketchup, no problems.
Bella Ketchup, easy, isn't it, Lee? Shea Adams is one that's always going to be a threat, I think. Kyle Walker-Peters, I actually think the improvement of this lad has been ridiculous. I didn't actually rate him at Spurs. Thought he was all right. And when you got him, I thought, he's just going to be an all right defender. Wow, he's been superb for you. Absolutely brilliant. And the one I absolutely love, who I have loved for a long, long time, is James Ward-Prowse. He's just been ridiculously consistent, so good, and can take a set piece better than I've seen in a long, long time. And I honestly believe his right foot is unreal, mate. Absolutely superb. What a player. But you've got some injuries, so I wanted you to talk about team news for us, mate. So what do you think the team will be at the weekend, man?
Yes, it's a very difficult situation now. We don't have a right back, as I said. We lost Bella Ketchup last week. He's got a dislocated shoulder, so he's going to be out. We don't know how long.
Oh yeah, I read that this week. Yeah.
He made an absolute unbelievable challenge against West Ham and dislocated the shoulder at the same time, which was gutting. So yeah, we're a bit light in midfield and right back. So I think we're going to play maybe a 5 at the back, and there'll probably be El Yunusi at right wing back. Then probably back 3, Lianco, Kaletakar, Salisu, Bazuna in goal, and then probably Perraud at left wing back, then Diallo and Ward-Prowse in midfield, as obviously we can't play Maitland-Niles, then probably go front 3 of Aribo, Adam Armstrong and Adams, and that's probably the way we'll line up. But we could also play Ward-Prowse or right back, but it's just as much of a... I have as much guess as you guys do, unfortunately, in the moment. So
I get that. I get it's difficult right back, and Maitland-Niles, it's such a shame you're playing Arsenal, because otherwise you go and slot in there, but you can't do that because of him.
Exactly.
Just quickly on him, what's he been like then, Maitland-Niles, for you guys?
I'll tell you what, the first game he had against Everton, he got a yellow card in the first 10 minutes, but the rest of the game he was actually all right. You could tell he was a bit nervous. You could tell he hadn't played much football. But the last 2 games against West Ham and Bournemouth, he has been excellent. Honestly, he's winning the ball back, fantastic passing. He's been brilliant. I wasn't too sure when we first got him. I was like, but it's good for versatile. He's experienced. He could play right back. He could play centre mid. I honestly think he's been fantastic. It's gutting the fact that we're playing Arsenal so close now when he's on really good form. So yeah, I've been really happy with him. Really happy.
Yeah, and I think Lee, it's good for the kid because he's playing, at a fair, decent level. I like it when Arsenal players go on loan to other Premier League clubs because you can really see them in action themselves. When they go to France or Italy, you've got to follow their teams and see how they're getting on. And you can see it at Southampton. And I think it's a good move for the lad. He can play right back, right wing back, left wing back. And you got to remember that he was keeping Saka out the team a few seasons ago and got England's call up. So, he ain't been a bad player over the years for Maitland-Niles, to be honest. And I hope he does well there, man.
I've been a big fan. I've always been a big fan of his. Like, you know what I mean? He's probably like one of those players that's good enough for the squad, good squad player and all that. Like, but maybe not a regular. And I think he deserves to play football on a regular basis. And he done well for us. You know what I mean? Like, I think he wants to play midfield. I think he's been playing the last few games in midfield as well, Liam. And that seems to be what he's enjoying. He just needs a manager that's going to put his arm around. I think Ralph's done that as well. We give him a little bit of a rollicking at the beginning of the season, just to say, look, this is the standards you've got to set yourself, and this is the standards you've got to be at. And I think that's something that he needs to do. I'm a big fan of him, and it's a good thing that he don't, isn't it? Like, because he can play against everybody else in the league and do really well, and he don't for us, So listen, that's the thing about the loan system, whether you agree with it or not. it will probably give us a little bit of an advantage there because, as you say, they've picked up a couple of injuries in the last 2 games, and then they've got to change their team again because they're not allowed to play a player. So it's a difficult one for them to cope with. But he is a real success there, and if he ends up being a player permanently there, I will follow his career, and because I think that he's a talent.
Yeah, I do, and I wish him the best of luck there. To be honest, always quite like the kid. Don't think Arteta likes him. If I'm honest, I think the same mentally with his attitude. Arteta don't seem to like. But
do you know what?
On,
one of the players that I play vets football with is a teacher, and he had him at school and he always said, you know what I mean. He was very bit too laid back. You know what I mean? Like, oh well, and whether that has gone into his football as well. I don't know. He said that to me a few years ago, when Maitland-Niles was.
You can see that though on the pitch sometimes.
Yeah,
you can see that.
Yeah. So he just said that he was very, very,
too laid back.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too laid back. He needed pushing, even with his football. He needed to be like, go on, get yourself out. Oh, all right, then I will do. And then, he would be the best player in the park. So maybe that's sometimes in life, you can get it too easy. And he's obviously got talent and all that, but hopefully, if you got someone like, I'd imagine, I don't know about Ralph, he does look like a manager that is not going to take. No, he's going to the work rate and everything that's got to be there. And of course, obviously Arteta does as well. But with Arteta, it was probably a little bit more intense for him. I don't know, you know what I mean? But listen, he's made his debut under Arsene Wenger, so he's got through the ranks at Arsenal. And I think he needs a successful move. I think the Roma one wasn't. He needs this one to be successful for his long-term career. So I hope he is.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100%, I do. Lee, let's come to you, man. Team news for Arsenal. There's a few don't knows about this one, and the reason I say that is because I think it's been pretty obvious of late, but particularly at the back, I want to ask you what you think is going to happen. So, what would you go with? What would your team be?
Well, this is really, really difficult one. There, it's getting to because Tomiyasu has played really, really well at right back. He played right back yesterday, and I thought he was brilliant. And I know what you're going to say is because he come off, that means that he's going to play left back, and Tierney didn't. I thought he was the last couple of games that he's played. Forget about the Leeds game. I thought he'd done okay against Leeds, but he wasn't great. But certainly the game against Liverpool, certainly on Thursday, he's just reminding everybody what a very, very good defender he is. But he was out of the team for injury, and you want to get him back in here. Ben White, you can't leave out. He's doing really well, so I'm going Ben White at right back again, Saliba and Gabriel, and I'm going to go for Tierney at left back. I felt that we lost a little bit of balance in the side on Saturday. On Sunday. I felt that we wasn't allowed the ball to go across him, and it meant that we couldn't get Martinelli very, very quickly. I think that no disrespect to Southampton, I think that we have more possession than them. It's not one of those games where we've got to defend. Like the Liverpool game was 50-50, you know what I mean, possession-wise and that. I think that, Southampton will let us have that little bit. And even if they do press us quickly, if you've got someone with the left foot, you can play the ball quickly. There were times they was pressing us very quickly, and he's trying to get it onto his right, and then the half the pitch is taken away from him there. So I think that they go with Tierney. I think the rest picks itself. I think Saka will be fit. So I think it'd be like, I think that's the only when you do like the starting lineups and things like that in a minute, it's just the left back position at the moment, unless there's an injury or something that you're looking at. Zinchenko, I understand, is going to be available as well. So whether I think that would be a kick in the teeth for both Tomiyasu and Tierney if he was to come straight back in the side. Not saying that he don't deserve it or he does deserve it, but those two have been fighting it out for the last couple of weeks, and then obviously Zinchenko comes in. But I think that it'd be nice to have Zinchenko available and maybe playing PSV next week so he gets some minutes under his belt. So for me, Tierney, I know you don't think that that's going to be the case because he come off early, but I think Tierney done enough yesterday.
I agree. What will happen and what I want to happen, I think will be different. I like Tomiyasu. A lot of time for him. I think he's wicked, by the way. Actually, really, really bloody good signing. He's been at right back, fantastic. I don't think you can drop Ben White. I think Ben White's been insanely good this year. I think Gabriel and Saliba are definitely the partnership that we want. That left back position is a strange one, Lee, because if Tomiyasu is going to play now and Zinchenko is the first choice, then is Kieran Tierney thinking, where am I going here then? Am I now third choice? What's happening? Because the Tomiyasu one was obviously tactical and it was the right thing to do. Against Leeds, I'm not so sure it worked. And I don't think it was tactical. So it was confusing. I think Tierney, when he's played, has been good. I know people say he's injury prone, and that's why, he's not getting in the side. But he's played more games than Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu's now getting ahead of him. So it ain't to do with injury, because Tomiyasu's more injured than Tierney. So it definitely ain't that. So it's a strange one. And I think why I feel so passionately about it is because I really like the player. And I think it's going to be harsh if Tierney gets annoyed and ends up going. So I really hope that we don't see that long term, man. I hope Tierney gets a place back in. And if Zinchenko gets ahead of him, fair play, fight it out. But if he's fighting out with 3 people now, I think it's a bit harsh. The other thing is, does Arteta just not want to drop Tomiyasu or Ben White? And he thinks Tierney and Zinchenko are not quite as good as the other two, or that they're too injury prone. I don't know what's going on at the moment. It just seems a little bit of a, maybe it's a good thing. We want this. We want competition for places, 100%. But I do at the same time look at what Kieran Tierney's doing and think, has he been a little bit harshly treated there? Because I don't think he's playing poorly to be out of the side. And that's all I'll say on that. I think Tomiyasu was probably a 5 out of 10 against Leeds. I thought he was really poor. Most of them were, to be honest, at the back. But I don't think he's done enough for me to guarantee a place at left back in this game. And if Zinchenko ain't ready, then Tierney has to play. But the rest of the side picks itself, Lee. I'm with you, man.
Yeah, and the other thing about Tierney, I will say this, is maybe that he's just, what's the word that I'm looking for? Nurturing Tierney through injuries. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe
a couple of times last season, he's like, forced him to play more than what he had done. You don't have to do that. You know what I mean? Like, 1 game a week at the moment's okay. And don't forget, he has come back from a knee injury, so maybe there's something in that. I don't know. Like, an operation on your knee, is tough, and he's done very, very well, by the way. Going through it myself, you know what I mean? Like, to be back at some sort of level, you know what I mean? Some of that rehab work you have to do, my God, you know what I mean? But so maybe he's just sort of saying, like, 1 game at the moment's enough for him not to burn him out and all that. But for me, I'd play Tierney in this one, and then then Tierney gets the rest for the Dutch game, but over in PSV. But we'll have to wait and see. But I'll be very surprised if Tierney's not playing. I'm going to say that now. Very surprised after what I see at the Leeds game.
Fair play, Liam. When you look at our team news and you look at the Arsenal side at the moment, what worries you about it?
Most of it, to be honest. Saka. Martinelli, the fact that you've just told me that Zinchenko could be available, that worries the hell out of me, because I honestly think the way you guys play is literally based around him. And I can see it with the way Guardiola's done it with his fullbacks, how inverted they are, how he goes from left back to centre mid to right back. I mean, like, I think when Zinchenko's available, you base it around him, but when he's not, I think you have to try and base it around Tierney or Tomiyasu. So, yeah, I think the main worry is the wingers, Saka and Martinelli. I think Ødegaard just picking up those pockets. The fact I feel like someone's going to have to man mark him, but it's impossible. Yeah, I think Granit Xhaka is absolutely unbelievable. I think he's had the maddest turnaround I've ever seen of any player. And yeah, everything worries me, to be honest, mate. I won't lie.
Very honest of you, mate. And I think the way we're playing at the moment, it's not only yourself that said that. I have a few people that come on my shows, and some of the people that come on here, and they all go, yeah, things are good at the Arsenal at the moment. But do you take anything, Liam, from the last game that we did play against Leeds? The fact that we actually did struggle a bit, defensively didn't look too great. Do you take anything from that? Do you think it was just an off day?
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's definitely an off day. Like, the way you guys have been playing this season, you can't expect that every week. You're going to have to win games that are ugly, like Man City have done, like Liverpool have done in the past. But it does just give me a little bit of hope. In fact, if we can try and rattle you, but we can maybe that inexperience of not playing at the top flight for as long as Man City and Liverpool, we could get onto you, but I just can't see it happening, unfortunately.
Fair play, man. We've got a super chat that I wanted to kind of bring up, Lee, and then we'll go on to some score predictions. This one is from Chaitanya, as ever. Chaitanya, you're a legend, mate. Lee, I'll put this one to you. Says, guys, things are looking good. Arteta and the team are performing. As things stand, what are your new expectations for the season, and are our owners ambitious?
Well, never expect nothing changed for me really. I actually said at the beginning of the season I expect us to be in the top four. That's how I'm looking at it at the moment. Do I expect Arsenal to challenge? I think the next 3 or 4 games will tell me that. If I'll be honest, if we can go unbeaten till the World Cup, I think that puts us in a fantastic position to challenge. But you know. Manchester City are a different animal, aren't they? Like, you know, take them out of the equation. I think that we're better. I did say at the beginning of the season, Dan, after watching Arsenal in pre-season, I did say I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal come runners up this season. I did say that.
You did.
And that's not me just saying it now. So, and I said that in an event, and people laughed at me, Dan. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus,
yeah.
what,
I thought we'd win it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but, you know.
Yeah. So, like, but I do think that we're in there. But no, I think like this game Sunday, by the way, is a massive game for us because we've got Southampton, and then you've got Newcastle playing Tottenham, Manchester United playing Chelsea. 4 teams that are chasing that top 4. 2 of them at least are going to drop points. So if we can get the win against Southampton, that puts us even more in a position going forward at top 4. So I'm still looking at top 4 at this moment in time. But why not? Why not let Arsenal have a I don't think we should be afraid to say it and all. Like if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Like, but at the moment we're 4 points clear. We're playing really, really well, digging out results. We're getting results in different ways now, as Liam said. You know what I mean? We've won fantastically well, and we've won a couple of dodgy ones 1-0. Like, you know, so yeah, I think Sunday will tell me a lot, but that's the expectations for me still to get top 4 and to really attack that Europa League, by the way, which is still going to be tough to win with the teams that are going to be in it. Barcelona look like they're going to be in it come February. If they don't win their next 2 games, they're not even if they win those 2 games, they're not guaranteed of getting into the top 2. So, you know, that's my expectations at the moment.
Fair play. What interests me about that super chat was the ambitious owner comment, and it's something I've questioned over the last
January.
10 years. 10 years. I think it will show us. I still think there's a question mark. January and the summer will show us how ambitious they are. I think because you can't say they've been ambitious because they haven't really backed us in a couple of transfer windows when we needed them to. Now, we don't know if that's true, actually. That's a statement that I've made, and that's a statement a lot of people have made. It might be that Arteta and Edu didn't want to spend any money because they didn't see anybody they wanted. But I really highly doubt that. If they would have given them 300 million, I don't think they would have gone, sorry, there's no one I want. So I think, actually, it is going to be more on the Kroenke still. However, I will back them and say they are ambitious if they start to show in the transfer market in January and the summer that they want to have a summer that we did a couple of summers ago, which was a good summer, let's be honest, because this summer still wasn't ambitious for me. It was a good summer, not an ambitious one. So yeah, let's see what happens there. Liam, just before we get score predictions start to wrap up, mate, expectations for Southampton this season. What would be a good season and what would be a bad season for you, mate?
I think a good season is probably staying up with the way we are at the moment. And obviously a bad season is just being relegated. I think the way we've gone this summer isn't the best way for me. I think even though you say young player is quality over quantity and stuff like that, but I think like we've got some really good young players, but we needed experienced players. We didn't get an experienced striker. We didn't get an experienced forward. We waited too long for it, and I think that's what will cost us at the end of the season. Not keeping enough clean sheets and not scoring enough goals. And yeah, I think just staying up is the main target, and obviously a bad season is getting relegated, and it's difficult for us to get relegated.
What do you think will happen? Where do you think you'll finish, Southampton?
I don't know. I want to be optimistic. I'm going to go 15th, but my head tells me 18th. I don't like being negative, but I just feel it. I don't think we have it. I don't think we have enough. We have to really do something in January. Because the World Cup, we need it. We need it now with injuries. We really need it now.
Listen, it's not being negative; it's being realistic, mate. I think you'll be all right. I honestly do. I'm with Lee. I think that there's 3 worse teams than Southampton in the league. Southampton are that team that they always get that unexpected result. I didn't think you beat Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? And you did. You went and did it. And you think, wow, where did that come from? That's what Ralph Hasenhüttl's Southampton teams have been doing over the last few years. And I think that's always been enough to keep you up. And I don't see that changing, mate. I really don't. So let's see what happens, man. I hope you stay up because I really like you. I think that Southampton are a good outfit and a team that I like. I like being in the Premier League. So let's see what happens, man. Liam, we might as well stake with you for a team score prediction. Sorry, what do you think the score will be, mate?
I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal.
3-1 Arsenal. There's no there's no chance of a draw. No for you.
No. Not at all. if we get a draw, it's a miracle. Let's put that way. I'll even take a 2-1. As long as we don't get battered, I'll take it.
I don't see a battering, if I'm honest, but we'll come to predictions in a minute. Lee, what do you think, mate?
Well, he made me feel a little bit better, Liam, like, because I've actually gone 3-0, like, you know what I mean? So it makes me feel slightly better, like, you know, coming on the show and then do it. I've said it and I said it, you know, to Liam off air. I just feel that somewhere along the line, Jesus is going to get his shooting boots on, like, you know. He missed a few chances again at the weekend, at Thursday. He missed a sitter at Leeds. He's due. And I think his all-round play deserves more goals, but you've got to be able to take them and all that. And I think that, you know, it's coming. Whether it's this game or around the corner, it's definitely coming. So I feel that with Liam, what he's saying about the injuries and everything like that, I think I'm going to go 3-0.
I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal. I feel like we've got enough to keep a clean sheet. Away from home, our clean sheets have been good, really good. We haven't conceded yet, actually. In fact, have we? Yes, we have. We lost, didn't we, to Man United? But apart from that, yeah, we've kept clean sheets. So I'm going to keep another clean sheet, and I'm going to go for a 2-0. I think the injuries will really help us that Southampton have got. I think they'll struggle, particularly down our left-hand side, which has been ridiculously good. If they ain't got a right back, that is going to be really, really good. You know, Martinelli and Jesus working down that left has been great. If Zinchenko's back and he plays, that will help. And Xhaka's been immense in that build-up for that left-hand side. And I think we'll have too much for him. So I'm expecting Martinelli to have a good game. I'm going to go 2-0 to the Arsenal, mate, and see where we go from there. Guys, Liam, I want to say a huge thank you to you for coming
Cheers,
on, man.
Liam. Thank you.
No,
really appreciate it, man. No, you're a top lad, man, and appreciate it. How can people follow you, mate, on social media? You got socials, yeah?
On Twitter, it's just at Liam Whitehorn. I don't know if you want to put it in the...
I'll put it in the description,
I'm just
mate.
on Twitter already, yeah.
We'll get Dave to do that.
Wicked. We'll get Dave to stick that in the description.
When he wakes up.
When he wakes up. If you do want to come follow. You'll see Liam on my channel as well. He's on my channel most weeks at Football's 12th Man Podcast. I'm on the way to... Oh, Dave is here. I'm on the way to 6K, people. So come help me support that. You'll see myself and Liam and all the others, Lawless, Tobes, all the Premier League clubs on my channel.
Eric Tobes, is he all right? Is he? Is he all right, Tobes?
He's struggling, mate. Unfortunately, he can't come on my show this week because he's on holiday. Funny that, isn't it?
He's having a terrible holiday, isn't he?
I bet he is, mate. I bet they are dreadful to watch at the moment, aren't they? My God.
Oh,
and long may it continue, I tell you. Long may it
right.
continue. I absolutely hate that team. I really do. It's absolutely brilliant to watch them the other night. 19 shots in the first half. Man United had. They were shocking, weren't they? They were shocking, I tell you that. It's brilliant to see. Long may it continue. If you can come and help me support me, that'd be great. Over nearly at 6K at Football's 12th Man Podcast on YouTube. That'd be great. Also, like and subscribe if you haven't done so already to Lee Judges TV. We'll be back after the Southampton game, and hopefully we will have 3 points. And Arsenal will keep top of the league. My thanks to Liam. My thanks to Lee. My thanks to everybody in the chat. Smash a like on the way out and up the Arsenal. Take care, guys.
Have a good weekend.